Our journey to Terris began at the break of dawn, as the first golden rays of sunlight pierced through the thick, ancient forests that blanketed the land. The descent into this realm was nothing short of breathtaking. A slow, spiraling passage from the airy heights of the world above into a domain where emerald canopies stretched as far as the eye could see, their leaves glistening with dew and shrouded in a mysterious morning mist. Towering mountains loomed on every horizon, their jagged peaks lost in swirling clouds, standing like silent, eternal guardians over the land. The air here was dense and cool, tinged with the scent of moss and earth, and every breath felt as if it drew in the deep, unyielding strength of Terris itself. The island of Terris sprawled vast and imposing, its landscape carved by time and the relentless forces of nature. Rugged cliffs plunged into the churning sea, their faces scarred by centuries of wind and rain. The coastline was wild and dramatic, with waves crashing against stone, sending up plumes of white spray. In the distance, mountains rose abruptly from the earth, their slopes cloaked in dark forests and their summits veiled in perpetual mist. Unlike the sunlit open expanses of Erwin, Terris felt ancient and brooding, every stone and tree echoing with the weight of countless generations. The people of Terris were as enduring as the land itself. Their lives were etched into the very rock and soil, faces weathered by biting winds, hands calloused from years of toil in the rocky fields. They moved with a quiet purpose, their eyes reflecting a history of hardship and perseverance. Their homes, built from stone and timber, blended seamlessly into the landscape, as if grown from the earth rather than constructed. The magic they wielded was subtle and profound, rooted in patience and the slow, steady rhythms of the land rather than in spectacle or show. At the heart of this steadfast people stood King Terra, a figure as formidable as the mountains themselves. Broad-shouldered and imposing, his thick beard and heavy fur cloak gave him the appearance of a man carved from the very stone he ruled. He stood atop a rocky outcrop, surveying his kingdom with a gaze that was both commanding and unyielding, his eyes sharp and unwavering, as if he could see through stone and time alike. The loss of Mahavir had left a deep wound in King Terra's heart. In his grief, he had sealed Terris behind fortress gates, determined to protect his people by relying solely on their own formidable strength. The castle, perched high in the mountains, stood isolated and forbidding, its gates closed to the world. Dark clouds gathered overhead, casting long shadows across the stone walls, and the land itself seemed to brood in sympathy, its wild beauty tinged with sorrow and isolation. Yet beneath this stoic exterior, the earth magic of Terris had grown rigid and brittle. No longer did it flow in harmony with the land. Seismic tremors rattled the villages, shaking homes and sending flocks of birds into the sky. Rock slides thundered down the mountainsides, blocking roads and threatening lives. Deep, jagged cracks split the once fertile farmland, turning fields into dangerous chasms and threatening the very people King Terra sought so desperately to protect. When I stood before King Terra, he regarded me with a heavy skepticism. In the dimly lit hall, shadows flickered across his face, deepening the lines of doubt etched into his brow. My words about unity and hope seemed to fall on stony ground, his eyes clouded by memories of betrayal and loss. He turned away from me, his broad shoulders hunched as he gazed out over the valley below. "Unity failed us once," he said, his voice low and rough as gravel. "Why should we trust it again?" Every gesture, every word, was heavy with the pain of old wounds that had never truly healed. To earn the right to seek the earth rune, I was set upon a series of daunting trials. Each challenge was crafted not only to test my strength, but to measure my understanding and respect for the land. I knelt in the wild landscape, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath my hands, knowing that brute force would not be enough. My first trial was to mend a great chasm that had torn a farming village in two. The wound in the earth was raw and jagged, its edges crumbling into the depths below. On either side, villagers stood helpless, their homes and fields divided by a rift that seemed impossible to bridge. The local earth shapers had tried everything, chanting ancient spells, wielding tools, even attempting to force the land back together with sheer will. But their efforts only deepened the instability, causing more harm than good. Frustration and fear hung heavy in the air. I closed my eyes and remembered the lessons I had learned from the wild, unpredictable fire and the ever-shifting wind. The earth, I realized, was not a thing to be commanded or coerced. It was alive, ancient, and deserving of respect. So I sat in meditation upon the rocky ground, listening to the slow, deep heartbeat of the land. I reached out not with force, but with patience and humility, seeking to persuade the earth to understand its pain and to offer comfort. For days I remained there, attuning myself to the subtle rhythms beneath the surface. Gradually, with gentle guidance, I coaxed the two sides of the chasm to grow back together. The earth responded, the wound closing slowly under the soft caress of sunlight and the careful touch of my hands. The scar healed, not by force, but by patience and care. My next challenge led me deep beneath the surface, into the heart of Terris, the legendary crystal labyrinth. This sprawling network of underground caves was filled with colossal crystals, their facets glowing with an inner shifting light that painted the walls in 1,000 colors. The labyrinth was alive, its walls shifting and shimmering in response to the intentions of those who entered. It was a living puzzle, ever-changing and mysterious, its corridors twisting and reforming with every step. Many before me had tried to conquer the labyrinth with brute force or stubborn will, only to become hopelessly lost in its endless, glittering corridors. The crystals seemed to sense their impatience, leading them in circles until hope faded. I was not alone in this trial. Kale, a young and courageous Terran guide, joined me. His lantern cast flickering shadows on the crystalline walls, and his steady presence gave me courage as we ventured deeper into the unknown. Together, we moved through the labyrinth not by force, but by attuning ourselves to the subtle harmonies of the crystals. We listened for the faintest vibrations, the gentle hums that resonated through the stone, guiding our steps with intuition and trust. At times, I pressed my ear to the cool stone, feeling the gentle pulse of the earth, letting the labyrinth itself lead us through its winding passages. The deeper we went, the more I felt the living presence of Terris guiding us, testing our patience and resolve. Above ground, King Terra watched our progress from a high balcony. As the land began to calm, his stern expression softened. For the first time in many years, sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating his face with a glimmer of hope. The final and most daunting challenge awaited us: to calm the Heartstone, a colossal, pulsating crystal buried deep beneath Terris. Its energy was the heartbeat of the island, regulating the land's very stability, and now it throbbed with turmoil and unrest. The Heartstone's violent tremors shook the cavern, sending shards of light dancing across the walls. Its energy was wild and chaotic, fueled by the collective fear and isolation of the Terran people, threatening to tear the land apart. Kale and I braved the perilous descent through narrow, twisting tunnels, the darkness pressing in around us. The air grew thick and heavy as we ventured ever deeper, the only sound our footsteps echoing in the gloom. At last we stood before the Heartstone. Its immense form radiated a blinding, ethereal light, filling the cavern with a sense of awe and reverence. Our faces were bathed in its glow, our hearts pounding in unison with its pulse. Instead of trying to suppress its energy, I placed my hands gently upon the crystal's warm surface. I closed my eyes and let my own feelings, hope, courage, and a deep belief in unity, flow into the Heartstone, offering it comfort and reassurance. The pure, steady light from my locket streamed into the Heartstone, mingling with its energy. The violent trembling faded, replaced by a deep, steady hum that resonated through the cavern, calming the land above and bringing peace to the restless earth. King Terra, watching from the cave entrance, was visibly moved. The hardness in his eyes melted away, replaced by a glimmer of trust and newfound hope. For the first time, he saw the possibility of healing, not just for the land, but for his people's hearts as well. With solemn ceremony, King Terra placed the earth rune in my hands. Sunlight streamed through the high windows of the mountain hall, illuminating the ancient stone and the faces of those gathered. His faith in others, and in the power of unity, was restored at last. To be continued, and stay tuned.